as we took the Pulaski Skyway over the Passaic and Hackensack rivers. I grew up there, in Jersey. My mom still lived there. I'd never see those rivers, or her, again. Even though we weren't close, my mom and I, the finality of it all should have brought me to tears. But I just sat, tight-lipped and unblinking. I was already becoming a different person, a colder person. I'd cried over so many smaller things before. I'd cried at the sight of dead dogs on the side of the road, their fur fluttering in the wind generated by passing cars. I'd cried when that gymnast busted her knee in the 1996 Summer Olympics. I'd cried when I sold my first car, a rundown 1985 Honda Civic. The tears weren't for the vehicle itself, but for the memories associated with it. Driving out to Coney Island during the summer before college, stuffing all my belongings in the hatchback for the move to the dorms at NYU, kissing the guy who would become my husband in the front seat after seeing City Slickers in a second-run theater with sticky floors. He didn't have a car. That's why we drove mine. But I couldn't cry in Angel Rivera's cab. I'd cried all my tears in the days leading up to the decision to leave. Tears for love lost when the buildings fell. Tears for necessary choices. And tears for me. Because, after all, I had died. 2. It was 14 years ago when I got into Angel Rivera's cab. 14 years. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a dream. I wasn't alone in that cab. My daughter was growing inside me. I'd thought long and hard about ending the pregnancy. My plan to move across the country and begin a completely new life made no sense with a baby. I would be lost. I would be utterly alone. Maybe that's why I wanted to keep her. So I wouldn't be. Current temperature of 73 degrees. Can't beat the weather, the overly peppy flight attendant said when we landed in Los Angeles. I'd always wanted to go to California, and it had the added bonus of being the farthest away from New York that I could get without crossing an ocean or leaving the country. In California, people meditated and grew avocados in their backyards and kept bathing suits in their top dresser drawers. In New York, blood pressure ran high. Produce arrived in trucks after cross-country journeys, and bathing suits, if owned at all, were tucked away with old Halloween costumes. I thought of California as being full of transplants like me, people starting over, anew, again. I could get lost in crowds of people also trying to get lost. People think it's easy to be anonymous in New York. It's not. The subway system creates an intimacy that even the coldest New Yorker can't avoid. California has highways full of people hiding in cars behind tinted windshields and knockoff sunglasses. That first day when I arrived, I checked into a Motel 6 in downtown Los Angeles, next door to what might have been a crack house. I got a hamburger from McDonald's and flipped through the classifieds, looking for rooms to rent. I was convinced there were bugs in the sheets, so I stripped the bed and lay flat on the mattress. The room smelled like cigarette smoke. I apologized to my pregnant belly. I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned. What kind of future would I be able to offer my child? I had enough cash to secure an apartment and hold me over for a few weeks. But then what? I had no prospects. I couldn't return to the career I'd started as Emily Morris. The promising life she had was dead. In the midst of my panic, I started singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and somehow I became calm. Eerily calm. Life would be simpler, I thought. I'd strip it down to its bare essentials, change my definition of happiness to include just food and shelter for my baby and me. On the plane ride, I sat behind two backpackers embarking on a trek through Yosemite. They were talking about the simplicity of leaving everything behind, only having to worry.